Okay.
Hey, Doc. His name's Andrew.
Well, hello, Andrew. See what happens? You put your thumb out, you get a meal. I'm going to start trying that one. Yeah, I'd say so. What the hell was that?
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, run.
Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2017 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGilvery Speedway, 30th and High School in the beautiful town of Speedway. Tonight's show is presented by Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Verizon IndyCar Series. How many people went out to the Red Bull Air Race? How many people enjoyed it? Okay. How many want to go back again? How many people want to fly a plane? Oh, I should have known Mike would. It's kind of a bad time of year. Somehow yesterday or Sunday I passed by the NASCAR disaster, and every time I turned it on there was cars flying and spinning and falling all apart. And I happened to go by looking for something that was supposed to be on FS1, I think it was, and they were under another red flag. And I'm looking at the picture and I'm thinking, there's only 5 cars there. Where the hell are the rest of them? They're all in a junk pile. Jeez. Oh, well. Fortunately, it doesn't happen in IndyCar racing. Want to mention to you, if you haven't yet to see the A.J. Foyt exhibit at the museum, you better hurry. There's only a few days left, and it will be gone. If you don't know what it is, I've got some brochures. You're welcome to come up and ask for them. Be glad to give them to you. And, of course, this Thursday is the Indiana Racing Memorial Association, better known as Hurricane Irma, fundraiser. It's going to take place at the Sexton Cars of Yesteryear Museum, located at 131 West 22nd Street. That's between Capitol Illinois Street and downtown Indianapolis. It's Thursday, the 19th, from 5:30 until 8, and at 8:01, Dr. Kutzler will kick you out because he wants to take whatever food's left home. Admission is $45. It's worth it, and it's a fundraiser. So if they're a 501c3, you can write it off. Get on down there. There's going to be some interesting people, and a number of the leaders of the USAC divisions, midget, sprint, and Silver Crown will be there. And with any luck, this young man will be there as well. If you want to get a chance to chat with him, he will be there. I assume he'll talk to you. I know he talks to me, so I assume he'll talk to most anybody. I want to remind you, we're going to have some tickets for the upcoming all-new Christmas gift and hobby show, where thousands of people get together to shop unique gifts and one-of-a-kind finds. It'll be out at the fairgrounds from November 8th to the 12th, and they have all kinds of things out there, and it's a huge thing, and we will have tickets for those of you who want to attend. And when I asked last week who wanted to attend, most everybody said, yeah, we'll go, sure, love to. It's a great show. Interesting things. They've got all kinds of, they got merry money you can win. They got a holiday entertainment stage. They take your photo with Santa, which I am going to do, if Santa stays alive. And Doctor, the Hall of Fame announcer is here. I thought I'd let you know. I didn't want you to turn around and hurt yourself. All right. Now, my first guest, the gentleman has been involved in the Mazda Road to Indy program. He drove in the Pro Mazda, and he spent, I think, 3 years with Uncos Racing, and he is the 2017 Indy Lights champion. And we're going to find out what all that gets, what he receives as a champion, and what's going on. He's a nice guy, and he's here for the second time. I've been chasing him because he hasn't spent a lot of time in town. But he's here tonight, and we want to welcome him. Please say hello to Kyle Kaiser.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And first off, congratulations on the championship. That was a tough year. There's some good competition in that series.
Yeah, it was a very competitive year. There were a lot of really strong guys in the field, and it just came down to consistency, I think, to bring it home.
What is it about Uncos Racing? They seem to win rather, not by no means easily, but they seem to win one of the two series every week. Why?
Yeah, Ricardo is a madman for winning. He likes it. He's dedicated, he's passionate, and he's willing to do anything within the rules to win.
And when you need something, do you get it?
Depends what I'm asking for.
Well, I don't mean money, but I mean, the old saying, speed costs money, more speed costs more money. How fast do you want to go? If there's something that can be put on the car that help you drive, well, can you get it?
Yeah, he'll get it. That's the great thing about Ricardo is I was just talking to one of my mechanics the other day, AJ Smith. He does the gearboxes, and he was just telling me anytime I went to Ricardo and said I have something that will make the car faster, Ricardo said, "Get it. I don't care what it costs. Get it." That's why we win championships, and that's why they're a good team.
I understand that his crew members, everybody loves working for him. He's a good guy to get along with. He's very friendly. He's very family oriented and so forth. And from what I understand, they don't care if you work 9 to 5 as long as you get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. And what I think a lot of people respect about him is that he's a very straight shooter, and he'll tell you what he thinks. And I think there's a lot of convolution sometimes in the sport. People don't shoot super straight. So I think a lot of the people working for him appreciate that he just tells them what he thinks, and that's it.
And what he says, he'll do.
Exactly.
And he does it.
Exactly.
How did your racing career start? What got you going?
Just like most drivers you'll talk to, it started in go-karts when I was very young. I was in go-karts till I was about 12 years old, and then my 13th birthday, I got into a Skip Barber car. That was basically my first open-wheel experience, and from there I fell in love with it, and I did the Pro Mazda Championship in 2012 through 2014, and then the past 3 seasons have been in Indy Lights.
And you've been with Uncos Racing the whole time?
It was 4 years with Juncos Racing,
Yeah.
2014 through 2017, and then 4 seasons total. And then 2013, I was with World Speed.
Have you driven an IndyCar yet?
I have not.
Ooh.
I have not driven one yet, but I can't wait to.
I think, have you seen the new car? Have you seen them testing the new car?
Oh, yeah, I've been keeping a close eye on it.
Yeah,
And Spencer's a good friend of mine, so he's been telling me as much as he will tell me about the testing.
Yeah, well, and he's done well. You ran with him, I think, in Pro Mazda and Lights, didn't you?
Yep, 14 and 15.
Yeah. And he's moved up the ladder. So have you got the patience to be like he did and kind of wait for the opportunity, but when they say, come with me, they're ready to go?
Oh, yeah. He definitely has been a great model for the proper way to get into IndyCar. Took his time. His first year, he didn't do the full season, so that's a big thing. Obviously, I'd love to do the full season this year, or this following year, but if it doesn't happen, I know it's not the end of the world. Just stay persistent, and I think if you show what your abilities are, you have a chance.
Now, coming from the Pro Mazda up to Indy Lights, does the Mazda get you prepared to go to the lights?
Yeah, I'd say so. I felt like I hopped in the car, and after a day or two in the car, I felt comfortable already. But it's a pretty big step, and I know that the step from Indy Lights to IndyCar is probably going to be just as significant. So I'm expecting it's going to take a few tests to get comfortable in the car for sure, especially with the new aero kit. There's going to be a lot of development needed. But I don't think it'll be unachievable. I know it'll just take a few tests to get comfortable.
Now, as the champion of the Indy Lights, Mazda is kind enough to give you enough funding for 3 races of 500 and 2 others. Have you in your back of your mind what the 2 others you'd like to do, or are you waiting for a team that you put something together and they say, here's what we're going to do?
So it's been a very unique process, and I've kind of been indulged in how it works. And from my understanding, 2 of the races are going to be in May. That's pretty much set. It's going to be the Indy GP and then the Indy 500. Those are pretty much locked in. And then the 3rd race basically works in with whatever the team I end up running with and myself decide to run. So that 3rd race is kind of up for whatever we decide.
Would you prefer a road course, or would you prefer an oval?
Well, if you were to ask me, I'd probably say Toronto, because that's the track that I did really well at this year. But
Really?
I'd honestly be okay with either.
I got to think from your record that with the potential you have, you've been contacted by a few teams, and maybe all of them for all I know, but have you been contacted by our teams that are interested in having you?
Yeah, I've reached out to teams, and teams have reached out to me. So there's been some dialogue, but we're really close to a deal. We'll probably know by the end of this week.
Oh,
It'll be
really?
announced. So, yeah.
Call
But I
me.
can't say yet, but it will be announced probably by
Well,
the
then
end of the
call me.
week.
So I know. Call me. Is there anybody else in your family that races?
My dad raced for fun. He
Oh.
wasn't really super serious into it, but he was doing Skip Barber when I was probably 6 years old, and that's when I first saw racing and really got into racing, was watching him drive. And so he threw me into go-kart because I loved watching him drive. He's like, okay, we'll see how you do in a go-kart. And that's what kind of started it all.
What do they say now about where you are? Now, you're originally from.
From Santa Clara, California.
It's not burning up out there, is it?
Luckily, not my hometown, but about an hour and a half north of where I'm from. It's the fires are pretty bad right now. I was just there for the MX-5 Cup race down at Monterey. So Monterey was doing okay, but definitely the fires are pretty bad out there right now.
Oh, jeez, unbelievable! And they showed pictures I saw in the news before I came here. Some people going back to their houses, and there's nothing. The only thing standing might have been a brick wall and a fireplace. Everything else is gone.
Yeah, it was terrible to see, and I was there in my hometown, and the air was just smoky. There was a lot of smoke in the air, and it was hard to breathe it. So I can't imagine what it's like to have be living in that area. It'd be terrible.
Does your mom get nervous when you strap into these cars? The go-karts and Skip Barber are good cars, but they're not that fast. Now you're going 180, 190 miles an hour, and you're going to go into 225 and 230. Are they happy with that?
Yeah, actually, my mom's not too bad. She comes to a lot of my races, and she's all for it. Now, my grandma, on the other hand, she's not a fan. But the problem is, every race my grandma's come to, I've won. But she doesn't like going to the races, so I've been talking to her about it for a while. So I hope she'll have to come out for the month of May. She's got to be here that whole month.
Listen, if you need it, I know somebody with a plane to fly over and pick her up.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
When you first started, did you have a goal that someday, dreaming at night, someday I'd like to run the Indianapolis 500? Was that in your mind when you started?
Maybe not when I started when I was 7 years old. I got into it and I was just enjoying the driving. I'd say once I got into the road to Indy and I knew there was a clear path to achieve that goal, that's definitely been my goal since I'd say 16 years old.
Huh. 16 years old. I can't remember being 16 years old. I know I was once, but I don't remember that. Don't you laugh back there. When you go home, do your friends, your high school friends and so forth, do they know what you're doing? Do they keep up with what you're doing?
So I just went back and visited my hometown this past week, and I went to an alumni golf tournament for my high school, which was really cool. I got to see some of my old friends, and then a lot of older, gentlemen that used to go to the school, and then some of my dad's friends, which was really neat. And there was a lot of interest into what I was doing, and I was surprised how many people knew about racing there, because usually in California you don't see too much interest, but a lot of people were very familiar and really interested in what I was doing, so I was really excited to see that.
Does the local media follow you? They come and interview you? Do they write stories about you?
Not enough.
Oh.
No, I've reached out to some local media, and there isn't really enough interest in California for racing for some reason. I've tried, but closer to the month of May, they said they'd be more interested in writing about it. But
oh, how nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. When I was in California, there was racing in the streets. There was racing everywhere. I don't know why it stopped.
Yeah.
But, what is it about racing that excites you? Is it the speed, the competition, being able to take your good friend, you pat him on the back, and you go out the track and beat him?
I'd say it's definitely the combination of speed and competition. I'm just a competitive person in nature. If we go to the bowling alley, I'm going to want to beat you at bowling. We go to an arcade, I'm going to want to beat you at any arcade game. It's just my nature. I love being competitive. And racing at high speed, there's nothing close to the thrill you get being on the edge for the entire race and racing against other people that are trying to do the same thing. It's really cool, and nothing comes close. I haven't done anything that comes close to it.
Well, you said there's nothing as exciting as that. When I was involved early on, I couldn't get in the car because I was too big. But I found things that were kind of exciting. I don't know if they would match what you do, but I found them kind of exciting. But I've been hooked on the sport, and the main reason is guys like you and gals, the competition, and I've said this 10,000 times, that a crew member working for you, there's two things. First off, they want to have a driver they know is capable of winning. Then they'll give you everything they got. And everybody has to do their job. I mean, if we watched the Colts last night, there was a number of blocks missed and the guy got knocked down or something happened. Somebody misses something on a car, you could be in serious trouble. So it's really a team sport, and everybody has to do their job, and the confidence in the fact that you can win, you're going to get a car that's going to go.
Yeah, I don't think you could have put it any better. I've developed a great relationship with everybody on the team, everybody working on my car. I actually just recently started doing a Wednesday night slot car thing with a lot of my mechanics. We go
Really?
out, just downtown. They have this place to go race slot cars. So I put together a slot car at the Junco shop with some of the mechanics there, and we've been doing that for since the off season started. So that's been kind of a fun bonding time, and they're teaching me how to work on some cars, which has been nice. But it's been fun.
Coming up, did you work on any of the cars, or were you simply the driver? You showed up, put a hat on and a fireproof suit, and off you went.
It was when I first started in go-karts, my dad was kind of wrenching on the car because he used to be a mechanic when he was younger. So he's very mechanically sound. He was working on the cart, and I just basically hopped in and drive. And it basically has stayed that way, moving up through the ranks. I wouldn't trust myself to work on the car, to be honest, because my life is on the line. And at this point, I'm going to let the professionals handle that.
Yeah, what I always found, when the driver understood parts of the car, it was easier to communicate with the engineer because you guys would be on the same wavelength. But I'm assuming you can tell your engineer what you need because you've won. You're a winner.
I can understand it and I can talk about it, but probably not the best person to be working on it.
And I trust you don't have a toolbox you carry around with all the tools in it.
Not for working on the car, no.
I see.
No, but I do have a toolbox in my house because things go wrong. I got to work on that, but that's about it.
What do you do when you're not in the car?
I got hobbies. Like I said, this slot car thing I just picked up, and I'm competitive, and I like going out and doing anything with my friends that's competitive. Football, mountain biking, just anything active. Golf, I'm trying to pick up on some golf. That's the fun stuff that I do. But most of my daily routine is going to the gym, going to the shop, training on the simulator. That's pretty much the routine.
That sounds exciting. Where do you go about bike riding here?
There's a place not too far from my house. I live up in Carmel, and there's on 96th Street. There's a trail that I can almost ride to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I see. What are all the leftover stuff that Carmel doesn't use? They put a pile, and now you go run and drive up and down on it?
Yeah, it's out in the woods, and it's close by. I'm not very good. Don't get me wrong. I'm never the quickest person when I go out, but it's fun and it's competitive and it's a good workout.
I see. Have you been to Portillo's yet?
I have not. No.
Greatest hot dog in America. If you haven't been to Portillo's, it's at 116th and I-69 over by that IKEA thing. You got to go there. They got Italian beef that's out of this world, and their hot dogs are fabulous. I don't know why I'm plugging it, except I love them. And I went to my high school reunion this past weekend. I won't say what year it is, but it wasn't 10th, I can assure you. And I said, we'll go in a day early. We're going to go to Portillo's, and we didn't. Oh, geez, I could have spent the day there. And I look like I'm fat enough. I probably did, but I didn't. You live here in town most of the year?
Yeah. Well, usually what I was doing is I would come here for the entire season, and then I'd go back to California to go to college because I'm still trying to get my degree. But this year has been kind of different, winning the championship. So I decided I'm going to stay here for this off season to train a little bit more, be more involved, just as, it's a big transition. So I want to make sure I'm fully focused on the upcoming campaign.
What are you studying in college? What degree are you looking for?
So I'm thinking about getting my degree in finance. But up to this
Good
point,
idea.
in racing it's great. But up to this point, I've only done about a year's worth of college. So I've gotten a lot of my GE out of the way. I haven't really taken any finance courses.
Do you have a manager, or do you handle yourself?
I mostly handle it myself. Then I have some help with family members who are familiar with, business.
Do you have a problem approaching a company? You have a resume and everything put together in a program. Say, here's you get involved with me, and here's what you get, and here's what the company gets. Have you got that? And do you have a problem knocking on doors?
No, I wouldn't have a problem with that. And I do have a marketing deck and some presentations that I have ready anytime I need to.
Well, there's a couple of people here that could probably help you if you got any with you. I know Howdy's got a lot of money. I know that. And we might be able to talk to Chuck Schumann. He might have some extra. And I know Eldon does for sure. To me, I think motorsports is probably, in my opinion, and having been watching it for over 60 years, I better think that it's probably, I think, the most exciting sport on the earth. And I think with what's happening with NASCAR, and they're in trouble. I read an article today that some of the drivers are squawking they wanted a pay raise next year, and they said no, because things are starting to tail off. Now's the time IndyCar can jump to the forefront and take over. They've been growing not fast enough as far as I'm concerned, but nobody asked me what I thought. But I think you're in a good spot and coming along. Are you finding that teams have cars available?
It's definitely gotten a lot tighter this off season. There's a lot of silly things going on. The silly season has been crazy, and there are definitely some availabilities, but I wouldn't say it's overwhelming, to be completely honest.
You know, you keep hearing, and I think he's right, that there's going to be probably 22, 23 cars next year. And I hope but the problem I see is there's some great young guys like yourself coming out of the Mazda Road to Indy program, which is what it's designed for. Now where do you go? Now to say that somebody's 42 years old ought to quit, Foyt drove until he was 58, so that's not an excuse to stop if you're competitive and you know, can be competitive. I wouldn't quit either. I mean, it's better than working at McDonald's for $8 an hour, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'd agree, but I feel like there's plenty of openings in sports cars too.
Oh no!
From my opinion, if your guys, you know, I would love to see younger guys in the IndyCar series.
Well, I think it's going to happen.
Because I'm biased.
Well, of course, but I think it's going to happen, and I think I realize there's a lot of squeaking and squawking about the business world, but I heard today that the Dow went up over 2,300. It hasn't done that in forever. So obviously somebody believes something's going on in this country. So there might be some money available for you when you knock on the door.
Yeah, that sounds all positive to me.
Oh yeah. You drove in this at the out in California in a sports car. What brought that? What is it? The MX-5 or what?
Yeah, it was the Global MX-5 Cup Challenge this weekend. And they did basically a one race weekend. Best average finish from the race weekend gets $75,000. So that caught my eye.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I heard about it from John Doonan from Mazda at the awards banquet this year. He mentioned it, and I said, "Could you give me the contact info for the best team in the MX-5 Cup?" Which was McCumbee Mackley Racing, because they won the championship for the whole season. So I went to Mazda Raceway when I was visiting home, got to talk with them, and they had a really good program. So I said, "Yeah, sign me up." So we put a deal together, and I went out there and tried my feet in sports car racing, and I'll tell you, it's very different. It's very, very different from open wheel racing. Luckily, we had a test day so I could get comfortable in the car, but it was a very tight field. It was really, really competitive. They had the all-stars of the MX-5 Cup. They had the past champions from 6 years in the car. So it was a really, really tough field, but I felt like I held my own. We qualified 6th and 7th for the races out of 22 guys that are very familiar with this racing. First race, I made a mistake and struggled. I went off at turn 6, so that kind of put me out for the race. But then the second race, I went from 7th back to 11th and then back up to 6th. So it was a fun race, and it was cool, and I had a blast.
Well, I guess I want to ask you for a loan. You didn't win the $75,000.
Yeah.
I can leave
Yeah.
that idea out. Was there a big crowd out there? Does it draw a crowd?
Yeah, there was a lot of people, but there was also the Pirelli World Challenge was out there as well. So it was a pretty big race weekend for everyone.
Well, that's good. And now you've got your eye. If something stumbles after your 3 races in IndyCar, you'll go back to that?
That's not my plan.
Oh, okay, good.
I mean, it was fun to go out there and try it, but I want to stay in open wheel for sure.
Are you getting recognized around town yet?
No, not. I'm not in town enough, I don't think. I'm
in the
moving
town
around.
of
But
Carmel. Well, I know you're always gone.
yeah.
But normally when you're around during a race season, are you starting to recognize you? I mean, I would, and I'm sure most people here would, and that's why you're here. I want them to know you.
Away from the racetrack, it hasn't happened yet. Not yet.
But then you can go out and take a girlfriend with you or something, and nobody pesters you for an autograph.
No, that has not happened.
I'll see that changes. I'll send Fluffy. She's reading her phone now, but I'll see Fluffy and have her come hester you for an autograph. What are you ordering food for the kid? Oh, I see. Excuse me. Are you familiar with the history of the Speedway, and when you go there, does it strike you?
I am familiar with it, and I have a book about the history of it. I haven't read the whole thing. It's a lot of history, but it is very amazing. And you get a different sense when you walk into that place versus any other track. It just has a total special aura about it. And just being able to race there and be at the 500 for the past few years, I just know there's a lot behind the Indy 500.
Now, unfortunately, the Freedom 100 doesn't draw the crowd it should, because a couple of the closest races in open wheel history at Speedway were the Freedom 100. But next year, when you're in somebody's car, which we'll find out at the end of the week, hopefully. When you go out on the grid for the start of the race, you're going to go, holy Toledo, where'd all these people come from? Who invited them all?
I actually think it's been getting, obviously it's not comparable to the 500, but the Freedom 100's been growing significantly.
Yeah, it has.
It's still
It
got a
has.
pretty good crowd, but, I mean, it has been some really great racing.
Oh, yeah. Do you think you'll miss competing with the guys? And I think they had, 12 or 13 this year, and you're going against 21 or 22 next year?
I'm fine with more competition. Like I said, the more the merrier. And there's going to be, 33 cars to go against. All of them going to be good. I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Do you have a favorite driver in IndyCar? Besides Spencer, I mean.
Yeah, Scott Dixon probably hands down. I mean,
Oh.
that dude is at his prime. I mean, he's amazing. Everything he does, there's something to learn from him. So I enjoy watching him, and I have the privilege of working out at the same gym that he works out at Pit Fit Training. So just seeing his work ethic and everything he puts into the sport is phenomenal, and I'd like to model myself after his career and what he's done.
I went up one day to see Jim Leo about something, and he was in the gym, so I walked in, and I started looking at the records of the various. Scott Dixon has all the records. Geez, why even bother?
Yeah, he's pretty incredible. I've tried my hand at it. I can't beat him. I've tried. I'm gonna keep trying to beat him.
Do you ever stumble into Hinch over there?
Oh yeah, I see him in there just as much.
Yeah, he's working out. For those of you that are still paying attention, aren't looking at your phone, I will tell you one of my guests next week, somebody that Howdy might want to see, but I doubt it. He probably can't stay awake long enough. But James Hinchcliffe is scheduled to be here next Tuesday. So I just thought I'd mention it in case anybody cares, besides me. There's something about racing, and that's any sport, I suppose, when you think about it, but racing is a sport where only a few people are able to start in it and stay in it and become professional, whereas football, a lot of people can play in college and all that kind of stuff. You don't have that. And I think, and I'm sure you'll agree that the Mazda Road to Indy program is without question the best feeder series anywhere in the world.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm obviously going to be a huge fan of it because of everything they've done for me. But there's nowhere else in the world that I've seen that helps the drivers as much and cares about the drivers as much as they do in this series. And that's why I kept coming back. And I knew that winning this scholarship was going to be a huge first step into getting into IndyCar and hopefully something that starts a long career.
Yeah, as young as you are, you could drive for 30 years. I won't be here to see the end of it, but maybe Chuck will let me know when he shows up there. He'll tell me how you did.
30 years sounds great. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do. Yeah, I have a younger brother.
Does he
Just
race?
turning 18 in a couple weeks, and he's a football player. He's got a big body. He plays. He's got the football build. I used to play football in high school, actually, but at the time I was 5'8", 160 pounds, trying to play quarterback. And when you're getting hit by 300-pound linemen, it doesn't feel that great when you're not super tall or big. So I thought I wasn't cut out for it. So I quit and went to racing.
Good idea.
And my brother got the privilege of being massive, so he's playing defensive line now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You need to tell him he needs to get a hold of Bill Simpson. I just talked to Bill.
He's got the helmet.
He's got a new one.
Oh, he does.
The new helmet, it hasn't been released yet. I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, but he says it weighs like 1.4 pounds with the face mask and everything.
Wow.
So when people see this, they're going to go, holy Toledo.
Yeah, but he is wearing their old helmet, so I'll have to tell him.
Tell him
Yeah.
there's a new one out.
Wow.
It isn't out yet, but it's coming. So something to look forward to. The guy is amazing. A lot of people don't like him. I think he's great. And he's yelled at me a few times. Hard to believe that, but because I didn't know he yelled at people, but he yelled at me. Well, now that you've mentioned that by the end of the week there may be some announcement, now I'm kind of excited to hear about it. I'm sure that whatever team you're going with will have a PR department, and I'm probably on their list, so I'll hear about it or read about it. Otherwise, you're going to get an email from me saying, what happened? What happened? Has it been difficult to find? Did you have to find additional sponsorship, or are you just going with the scholarship money and seeing if you can build that?
Yeah, as of right now, it's just the scholarship money. We're trying to get as much as we can out of that scholarship money, so that's big. But I'm out trying to find more. I want to get as many races as I can for next season. But anything extra is going to be what I find, or whatever, if the team I'm running with can find anything additional.
You know, there are drivers now that when I first came up, you know, the driver who was hired because the guy that owned the car was a millionaire, and they hired him on talent and resume. That doesn't happen anymore. They say, God, you're good. Have you got any money? So now you got to find your own. But it's starting to change. There are drivers that are getting rides because sponsors like who they are and what they are. And of course, you got to, instead of being only a race driver, you got to be a spokesman. You got to be able to talk to people. When some nitwit comes up and wants an autograph and you're not really in the mood, you got to do it. And that's what will get you to move up, I believe. And I think you're the guy that can do that.
Well, thank you. And I think the Mazda Road to Indy does a good job at training us and getting us exposed and in front of cameras and be able to be a brand representative. I think that's a big help. But, yeah, about the racing, the way it's become, the environment has changed to where they expect you to bring money, right? Because there will always be somebody who is willing to pay, which is a problem. Makes it hard. It was great when it was on the teams to go find money and hire, but then, you know, somebody said, "Oh, I got money, I'll bring this," and now that's become kind of the norm. So it's kind of sad, but you're right. I think it's starting to find a better medium where not everybody out there is paying, but I hope to see more where people are hiring.
Well, I suspect that, as with your good friend Spencer, when Fuzzies saw what he's doing and what he brings to the table, and of course what Ed sees him bringing to the table, he was able to step up. Now he's got his full year contract, or maybe 2, I'm not sure what it is, and he's doing well. And he's he's doing the testing for Chevy at the moment because all the teams don't have cars yet. So obviously somebody recognizes his talent, and I don't see any reason that's not going to happen to you. It may take a year, but I think you're going to make it.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of staying persistent, keep going for it. I mean, anything can happen in this sport. And being able to see Spencer go through it and persevere, I think is very helpful for me.
Take a page out of Connor Daly's book. When he went to Long Beach, I believe it was, he got a call while he was having breakfast. But he had his suit and his hat with him.
Yep.
Whenever you go to the racetrack, have it handy. You never know.
Oh yeah. I'll take that advice.
Well, I'm sure you've heard that, and I'm sure your dad said, "Hey, take it with you. You never know. Somebody could get hurt, and you get a ride, and they say, wow, this kid's pretty good."
Yep.
Well, I thank you for taking time to stop here. I'm glad you were in town so I could catch up with you. But I'll be looking forward to the end of the week or the first of next week, whenever it is, to hear what you've put together and where you're going, and look forward to seeing you in May, if not sooner.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, and everybody stay tuned. It will be announced probably by the end of this week.
There you go. Watch for him. The 2017 Indy Lights champion moving up to IndyCar. Find out what he's doing and where he's doing. Mr. Kyle Kaiser. Now, I have another guest coming up. He made a mistake of stopping in, and I said, "Oh," because late this afternoon I got a call from a guest I had scheduled who had to back out because some sponsor wanted to talk to him about funding for next year, and I guess I could have said, "Come on now, you need to be here," but of course I didn't. So I'm going to bring this gentleman up, and we're going to chat a little bit. And here comes the lovely, here comes Tony Meyer. Oh my goodness. Anyway, tonight's show is presented also by Sam Pierce Chevrolet in Daleville. If you want to know where the best cars and why the best cars are in the country, go into the country at Daleville and see Sam Pierce Chevrolet, and you'll find out why he's always rated at the top of customer satisfaction. Just take I-69 north to exit 34, go east 1 mile, and you will see him. You won't miss him. And when Sam sells you a car, he doesn't stand behind you, he stands alongside you. So check out Sam Pierce Chevrolet. And if you need embroidery of any kind on anything, a hat, shoes, jacket, shirt, T-shirt, your shorts, it doesn't make any difference. Stitches, too, can handle it. They're located in Gasoline Alley. Just give Fran a call. She loves to talk. Tell her what you got. She can take care of it. Number is 317-271-3444. And if it's time for you to take a ride in a two-seater to see what these crazy people are doing riding in one of those cars, go to IndyRacingExperience.com, find a date you like, and in the promo box put SJ1, and you'll get a 50% discount. It's a great experience, and people that do it love it, and some of them are even going back. They've done the oval. They want to now do the road course. So check it out. You can't go wrong with that. And if it's time for insurance, whether you have a car, a home, or a commercial building and you need insurance, do what I did and what a lot of people have done that have heard me and have gone and checked it out. See Mike Pardee at VP Insurance, located at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. Mike will take care of you. He can get the insurance. Let him give you a quote. You might find out, like we found, you get a better deal, better coverage for less money. And if you have a problem, Mike is always there to help you. You might have to call him and find him. He's out hunting, but he'll help you. He won't leave you stranded. And if you are a vintage car fan, the 2017 U.S. Vintage National Championship will be held November 2nd to the 5th at the Circuit of America in Austin, Texas. If you're anywhere in the area, and if you're not, go there anyway. It's a great event. You'll love it. Go check it out. And if you're a vintage car fan, you should go to svra.com, and you can subscribe to the Vintage Racing Quarterly. It's a great magazine, first-class magazine. It's not a cheap rag. It's a great, and you can find out some of the cars you saw as a kid are actually on the tracks and running. And if you're into the Trans Am and wonder whatever happened to Trans Am, Tony Perella has bought controlling interest in it and at a number of the SVRA events, including the one at the Brickyard. The Trans Am will be here. And while you're on the website, order the Trans Am magazine. And if you're looking to have a holiday party and you want to figure out how do I get people in, how do we do this, where do we go, what can we do, Tony Meyer is the person. She's a special events professional. She can help you with everything you need, whether it's transportation, a place to go, place to stay, whatever it is, Tony can handle it. You can give her a call. Her cell number is 317-515-7929, or you can email her at tmeyerindy63. Now, she's not 63. That's the year she was born. tmeyer63 at AOL.com. Check it out. She can help you, and you'll even thank me for it. And nobody ever thanks me for anything. Now, my next guest is a gentleman who was here a couple weeks ago, and he was so popular, the request for him was so demanding that I just had to bring him in, and he brought his lovely bride with him. And he had to bring her in because she didn't believe that he spent their anniversary here. She thought he was out tooting around somewhere. I don't know what. But he's back again, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what is going on. I want to find out exactly what he does. He's a PhD, so I call him Dr. Mark. Please welcome Mark Utzler. Now, sir.
Don, let me be the first then to thank you.
For what?
For bringing me on tonight.
Well, your wife has been on me like a cheap suit.
And she apologizes that she hasn't got the thank you note for you having me on during our anniversary, so I wouldn't be at home. So she came personally to thank you. So there's two of us. Your first two thank yous.
Yeah, and I'm excited for her. She said you took her to St. Elmo's for dinner too.
She did. That's exactly the way I wanted her to remember the evening.
What do you mean to tell me? There's a difference between St. Elmo's and White Castle? Come on, it isn't that big a deal.
I told her it was a brand extension.
Now, you have about 7 degrees in things I can't pronounce, and you are associated with a college and university, but you do a lot of what you're educating online, you told me. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? You stay home, you got slippers on in your bathrobe, and you're going like this, educating the youth?
Educating comes in many forms, Don.
Yes, it does.
As you know from interviewing me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. So what do you teach? What is your primary?
Primarily leadership and communication in the business school at Indiana Wesleyan University.
So you teach somebody going into business how to communicate so when they get there, they don't go hum, hum, hum like I do.
Communicating effectively and the difference between leadership and management. We have a lot of managers in organizations, very few leaders in organizations. And management is about processes. Leadership is about motivating people. And when you can understand that difference, and there's a time and place for both, but when you understand that people are really needing leadership and to be made, the best that they can be to serve an organization and for their own self-fulfillment, then you can really get a lot done in an organization.
Do you have anybody with those, what do you call it, with those standards or abilities in the IRMA organization? I mean, is there anybody there that has a clue?
I think we have a whole team of that on our
really?
governing team. Yes, really.
Of course, led by the irrepressible Hall of Fame Howdy Bell.
Howdy Bell, who oftentimes goes by his birth name, George Billison, so that he has 2 votes. It's the most amazing thing. It's the most amazing thing I've seen. And his motions usually get a second.
And I noticed that Bob Gates, being an author and being involved in journalism of motorsports for over 30 years, has to write crib notes for Howdy because Howdy doesn't have a clue. Who? What's this guy's name?
No,
Who the hell is he?
Howdy has just such a wealth of experience and knows everyone because everyone went to Shortridge with him. But he really does. We'll talk about someone. He says, "Oh yeah, that person was Shortridge." But everyone is like that. Tony Meyer, who is one of your sponsors, is that way. I've had the opportunity of working with her for a couple of decades, I guess, when she was at the 500 Festival and directed the nationally televised parade, and now doing things in the Speedway community and on our governing team. And so we're really blessed to have a whole team of that. And as you mentioned, Bob Gates is just what a delightful man Bob Gates is, isn't he? He's a really nice guy. So when you get a group of nice people together, you can get a lot done.
Is there any other members of your team here tonight?
I don't think so. I think that is all. They're all getting ready for Thursday evening.
Now, I've been told, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've been told that there is a gathering, a fundraiser, and being as Irma, and they didn't name the hurricane after you, I'm sure, that Irma is a 501c3, so if you buy tickets, you can write that off.
Well, there's a fair value or whatever, so I'm not sure what portion of that is tax deductible, but there would be a certain portion of the ticket tax deductible, and if you're interested in that, we can certainly get you the information on it so you can deduct that on your income tax. Yeah.
Does the beer and wine fall in that category?
The beer and wine?
Yes.
It falls in whatever category you'd like it to fall into.
That's the one I want.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not driving down there, so I.
Okay, that's right. You have a chauffeur. Don is coming with a chauffeur that evening.
And paid for a ticket, which broke my heart.
How?
But
he got a crowbar out, got into his wallet, and he's coming. Yeah. Amen.
now, how did you end up at the car collection of yesteryear museum?
Well, that was thanks to Tony Meyer. She had the relationship with Marlene Sexton, the owner of it. We were there. Irma was there for an event. The 500 Festival had a corporate members event in April. That was my first exposure to it, and thought, wow, that would be a really neat place because it's invitation only. It's not a place that's ever open to the public at all. It's always private events or personal invitations, and so we were thinking of a unique place to have our fundraiser, a place meaningful for racing. That came to mind. We didn't know if anyone had any relationships, and Tony said, well, yes, I know Marlene, and I'll reach out to her, and so she's very graciously given us the use of that facility for our fundraiser. So it's fantastic.
And I hear, first off, I'm upset that Tony hasn't arranged for me to go see. I haven't been there. I don't even know where it is. Okay. But she didn't say, hey, Curly, you want to take a ride? I want to show you something. But no.
Well, she was saving your first experience so it could benefit Irma.
Oh, boy.
I tell you, she's always thinking.
Well, I know she's always thinking. Oh, well. You have a benefit now. When you started this, you guys had to scramble to come up with the funding to build these. I mean, they're not some cardboard thing with the writing on it or something. It's bronze.
Well, it's cast, and it's the same studio in Ohio, Seawall Studios, that cast the Indiana Historical Bureau markers that you may see around the state. And I think there's some here. The city does some. It's that type of marker. So it's a very permanent one. The one on Speedway Trails for A.J. Watson near the intersection of Main and 16th Street is probably the closest one here. And then there's one in Brownsburg for Larry Rice just off of the I-74 Indiana 267 interchange as well.
But you had to kind of put your nose to the grindstone to find funding, but your name is growing and your reputation is growing, and it's not quite as hard. You just need to negotiate as to what they want and how they want it, and and you're finding funding much easier.
It is. Well, I think people know what we're about and know that we do it in the right way, an appropriate way, do it with quality, do it with integrity. And so it's not like we're having to introduce ourselves and what's the concept of what we're doing. That's kind of known, and people are, you're right, wanting to be a part of it. And that really speeds up the process of finding support.
And I think the obvious thing to me is that what you guys say you'll do, you do. You're straightforward. You want to honor these people. And by the way, I went on, and I didn't realize, I was fiddling around one day. I'm not good with a computer. I don't know if anybody realizes that. As a matter of fact, I spent 7 hours I lost my email Thursday night.
I heard you were having some difficulty, yeah.
I spent 7 hours between myself and Sharon's daughter and I.
Oh, my.
And I called Jack.
Called Jack. Jack probably had it done in 5 minutes, didn't he?
Exactly. He had
Yeah.
6.5 minutes. He was done it. I said,
Jack is wonderful.
What the hell did you do? I have no idea. He got it done. Poof. If you have a computer problem, I'm telling you, Computer Overdrive at Lyndhurst and 16th Street, that's the only place to go.
I think the first thing, Don, is you don't use whiteout with the computer.
I know that.
Yeah. That will mess up the motherboard. Yeah. Yeah.
I also have trouble cleaning the screen, too, when I do that. It doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, you guys, to me, are you know, you do what you say. I went online, as I started to say, and I lost track, and went to Crown Hill.
Yeah.
And I started looking at different, you know, they have categories. I mean, if you're a butcher, they've got butcher.
Right.
There's a lot of racing people in that place that
a
most
lot.
people don't know about. And a lot of them you wouldn't have known because they're a riding mechanic or some. But
That's
there's
right.
a boatload of them
There's
there.
a bunch. Tony, do you know how many? About 62 or so? Is that? Do you remember? We've talked about even higher than that. They're closer to 80. And they have a list of them and have published a brochure with them on there. And what we're hoping to do, of course, we have a marker out there about Indy racing legends who are interred in Crown Hill. We're hoping to do a medallion program where we actually put smaller medallions on their grave sites so that and there can be a walking tour. And I believe Donald Davidson is going to do some narration, so there'll be an app or a CD if you want to drive or if you want to walk with your phone and hear a couple of minutes about each person. So we're really excited about that. There'll be a car show there, I believe, on Father's Day next year or the weekend after at Crown Hill that will sort of kick off this, and we're going to install a final yard of bricks in front of the or near the Carl Fisher Mausoleum. So lots of things happening with Crown Hill. They've been wonderful to work with, and you're right, they really celebrate the heritage of the people who are there. And going back, you know, 150 years that Crown Hill has been there, and it used to be a thing where people would come out and picnic in cemeteries back in the, earlier, about 100 years ago and things, and really, celebrate people's lives. We kind of lose track of that, and they're getting, they've always been in touch with that, and this is just one part of it. So there's lots of people and lots of racing history at Crown Hill.
The car show, are they going to have hearses?
No hearses. That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Okay.
But no hearses. Yeah.
Has a date been set yet for Fresno?
No, it has not.
So Bob doesn't have to pack a suitcase quite yet.
As far as we know, but the next phone call, he may be on the next flight. Who
Oh.
knows? No. But no, it probably won't happen that quickly. But yeah, we believe that the first ARMA, or American Racing Memorial Association, which is an outgrowth of IRMA, Indiana Racing Memorial Association, will be in Fresno to honor the great Bill Vukovich, of whom Bob wrote a tremendous book. And
Yeah,
my
very good.
co-founder, Brian Hassler, has started a screenplay as an idea for a movie about Bill Vukovich, kind of based on Bob's book. And so that's further down the line, but it's a wonderful story, isn't it? He was such a tremendous champion.
Do kids in school know that you do this in addition to teaching them how to be management and leadership skills?
Oh, probably not. They have their hands full. These are working adults who are pursuing their college education, so they've got family and work and civic organizations and all of that, plus pursuing their education. So Some are into racing and know that I am, but yeah, mostly not.
What got you? I mean, all the time you've spent in school, for education, I said you've got a number of degrees, most of which I couldn't pronounce anyway and don't know what they are. But where did you get the interest and find the time to get involved in racing? And what attracted you to motorsports?
Well, I began attending races at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 1965. My grandparents were from Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada, which is near Alaska. My father met my mother when he was there at World War II. He was dispatched there to dispatch trains. He was a railroader, and they were getting oil from the oil fields in the Yukon down to the Gulf, or not the Gulf, but the port in Skagway, in oil for the World War II effort, and that's where he met my mother, and so her parents were from there. They would come and visit us every couple of years, ride the bus down about 3,000 miles. Well, I think they flew to Vancouver and then took the bus for 2,000 miles. Yeah. And I think my dad had asked, is there anything you want to see when you're here? And they would come generally for 3 weeks in May, and they would listen to the race because, of course, anywhere on the planet you can hear the radio broadcast. Right, Howdy? Yeah. That's absolutely true. And at the time, 1,200 station, 100 million listeners, I think, 110 million listeners, of whom they were two of them. And they said, hey, we'd like to see the 500 if possible. So my dad checked into tickets. We enjoyed it. So even when the years they weren't coming, we went. And that's how I got started. And then I've been to every race since. So last Sunday, I think, was my 103rd consecutive race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This May was my 100th consecutive race at the IMS.
You've been there you started in 1900, really?
No, 100 races. There's more than one race now. There's 5 a year. They add up quickly.
Oh,
like your shows, they add up quickly. But you forget a lot of them.
I forget everything. Are you kidding? I'll forget you were here tonight when I go home. Who was there? I don't know. Oh yeah. Is your lovely bride a race fan, or does she stay home?
She is a race fan. A reporter asked her that about 20 years ago. Oh. And she said, well, I married into it. To which I replied, oh, she's a sacramentally bound fan. That's a higher classification than myself.
Oh, jeez. All right. And the two of you have been involved in the festival for a long time.
30 years? Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Is that a free job?
Pardon?
Is that free?
Free? Yeah, it's volunteer position, yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I know we've talked 3 times now about the upcoming fundraiser, but I am extremely impressed knowing most everybody involved in it and the dedication and the time and effort that they put on it. You wouldn't think it would take a lot of time to do this because people will be calling, just like Kyle Carter said, he's got people calling him every day wanting to throw money at him. But you have done what you said. You have got the proper approach. And you've just done it, and the word has traveled. Because if you're a schmutz, that word travels.
That word
even
travels
faster.
Fast too, right? Yeah. And we've always tried to do it really simple. When we have an idea for an honoree, someone who's going to be mentioned on a marker, we first approach family and say, "Is that okay? Would you mind if we honored that person?" And if they would say no, we would just drop it. And if they say yes, then we start to look for funding for that marker and a place to put it and coordinate with them. So we haven't kind of ramrodded anything through, and we've been very, very respectful of the people we've honored and the way that we've conducted our unveiling ceremonies. And I think that also has brought a lot of families together that maybe different factions have been estranged for a while. So that's kind of been a really neat benefit and byproduct of what we've done.
Do you think honoring somebody who sits up in the media center and takes a nap from time to time and spent a part of his career at the hospital standing around waiting for something to happen and doing the news locally and so forth and being station manager, and do you think he deserves a marker of any kind, even cardboard or plywood? You could stencil on plywood.
That would be interesting, but that wouldn't be up to our standards.
Oh,
we always have to protect the standards.
Is he up to your
But
standards?
if you have such a person in mind, you can go on to www.indianaracing.org and complete a nomination form, and we will give it due consideration.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I submitted that, the website probably shut down like mine did.
Well, if you use the carbon paper in it, yeah, I'm sure that it would.
Do you get a lot of people now logging on and making suggestions?
We've had several, more from ARMA actually, and particularly out in California, where we think we'll probably start a state chapter and probably also one in Texas, just because of the growing interest in both of those states. But our biggest traffic is in our Facebook page, which is wonderful, and Bob Gates facilitates that for us. When Bob and I traveled to Veedersburg, which is west of Crawfordsville near the Illinois border, of course, the town where 90% of the bricks that were installed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway were made, we took a picture of a building, and it had a tarp on the roof, and it's a brick building, of course, at the plant where these bricks were made. It's where Carl Fisher came and signed the contract for the bricks. And that we posted that. There's a marker over there about the Wabash Clay Company, which was the name of the company that did the bricks. But there was 15,000 views in about 1 week of that building. And people, just excited about that. And some were saying, oh, my goodness, Indianapolis Motor Speedway should buy that building and move it and put it out by the museum, kind of. But, I mean, people were that passionate about it and logged on and shared it. And so, yeah, we have a lot of people who follow what we do, and mainly on Facebook.
And strangely enough, a lot of the management and leadership people that you work with go on social media. And that's the people they say, hey, we should get involved in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if somebody funds what you're doing, do you give them credit? I mean, is that part of your associate sponsorship thing you list?
Absolutely,
companies?
yes. Yeah. We're looking for, presenting sponsors and sponsors of events and things all the time, yes.
And does that stay on your page? You
Oh,
list
yeah.
your sponsors so people can look and say, oh, this company did it. I'll buy their stuff because they're supporting it.
Right, yeah. Similar to, your sponsors of your show, yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't wait. I mean,
We got our shirts at Stitches. That was a
great.
sponsor of yours, right?
And,
Yeah.
and I think Jack helped you with your website. Did he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, Jack. That's how I knew, how good he is, and I've had him do some personal work as well. Yeah.
Well, I have to do it too because I don't have a clue. And I have my friend Ted back here who's done all kinds of stuff. I don't understand that either. But I thank Ted for that. He's a wonderful person. Isn't he a wonderful person?
You've got the key of leadership. You surround yourself with people who are better than you are and ride the wave.
I could start anywhere and get a group of people better than I
Well,
am.
I wasn't going to go that far, but since you brought it up. Yeah.
All right. If you don't have a ticket yet, how can you? I assume you can go down and buy one at the door.
You can. You can at the door. You can go to Three Sisters in a Trunk. What's the address? 1434 Main Street in Speedway for a retail location. You can also log on to indianaracing.org and order through PayPal. And you don't have to have a PayPal account to do it. You can use your credit card or Eventbrite. I think links out from that page also. And you can order through that, whatever you're most comfortable with. If you want to print out a ticket. And I believe tickets are going to be handed to them, souvenir tickets at the door. Yeah, so you'll get a little souvenir. You don't need a ticket to enter. We'll compile a guest list and check you in as you come. So, if it's a last-minute decision to come on down. We'll be glad to have you. Yes, Tony. We'll take cash or check. Thank you. See, this is why I worked for her for 25 years. Cash or check tonight, absolutely. And if you can't come, we'll be glad to take your donation, all of which would be tax deductible.
Now, I'm going to recommend one of two things.
Yes.
See Tony tonight.
See Tony. She's got flyers, too. Yeah.
It's worth just watching her smile. And if you can't do it tonight, go down to
Three Sisters in a
Trunk and see her.
I used to think it was Three Sisters and a Monk. I thought it was a religious store, but that's not it. That's not it at all.
But go see Tony. The smile will knock you away, and you'll probably buy
will.
2 tickets for
Yeah.
nobody. You'll go by yourself. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm kind of excited to see this. I've heard a lot about the Museum of Yesteryear.
Yeah.
And as I said, Tony never got me to go see it. So now I got to pay $45 to see the damn thing. But it'll be worth it.
Bargain
And I
it-
get to see you, too.
And you get to see me. It's a bargain at twice the price.
I know that.
Yeah, just to see me, especially you may want to take extra meds because it'd be 2 nights. It'd be within 2 nights. I don't know.
I'm gonna be
You think you
nervous
can
wreck.
handle it?
No, but I'll try.
And I found out tonight that Marlene Sexton, the owner, will be there. Is planning to be there. I guess anything could come up, but she will be there at our event as well. So someone had Dave Wilson, vice president at the Speedway Museum, talked to her in New Orleans last night. Said she is planning to come, and someone else in our group talked to her pilot. So I guess. She's
Wait a
ready.
minute.
She's
Hold it.
ready to
Hold
fly in. So it's
Hold it.
kind of going to be great.
Dave Wilson is down in New Orleans. What's he doing down there?
He's not down there. He's up here. He talked to her in New Orleans.
Oh. And she's having her flying herself up here.
She's going to have a pilot and a plane do it.
Well, she
Yeah.
wasn't going to go like that.
Thank you.
That's not what I meant.
You're right. You did forget even before I got done.
Is your bride coming along with you?
She will be there also. Yeah. So, like I say, bargain at twice the price.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing that she said it's been a struggle to put up with you. But, and as I mentioned, she told me it was 37 years. You said, no, it's only 30. She said, well, it seems like 37.
Well, she often tells me sometimes it feels like forever.
Yeah, well.
And,
Well,
or that it's something to do with purgatory on earth. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I get the whole concept, but check it off. Yeah.
Did you
You're
go
welcome.
Did you go see Mr. Sato's face revealed?
Yes, it was fabulous. Yes.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Did he get a standing O?
He got a standing O, absolutely. He was excited when he saw it. He hadn't seen it before. They asked, did you peek under the velvet, beforehand? He had not. And they showed a little video clip of his meeting with the artist in North Carolina, and they do a life-size face, and then he creates the miniature from that, and spent a couple of hours with him to get the inflections and then fine-tune it. And Sato was just extremely excited about it, and it was a great event to come. So I would recommend come next year. It's usually in December. They had it earlier this year, so I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be going forward. But it's a wonderful time of getting together, and as has been the last few years, he was available to sign autographs and stand for photos with the folks who were there. Very nice. So don't miss it.
I talked to his cohort that went over to Japan when he toured Japan after winning. And he said it was funny. They were downtown in Tokyo underneath, and I forget where, by the Ginza or somewhere. There's a big board up there with his picture, and he's standing under it, and people didn't mob him. They were respectful and went up and asked for an autograph. He said, but he went other places, and he was absolutely just mobbed.
Yeah.
That he is very well recognized and is considered a national hero.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't understand it.
I think Doug Bowles, president of the Speedway, said it best in his remarks tonight that we always wonder who the champion is going to be and who would you like to have as the champion. And he mentioned a few people. Then he said, when Takuma was screaming in the car and in victory lane, he said, that answered it all. It's kind of, what we all feel, don't we, at the end of every race. So he really enjoyed winning the Indianapolis 500 and knew how important it was during his career to do that, and really celebrated like a champion.
And I got home in time from my trip to Michigan and saw the replay of the race, and he was there. And, of course, the Japanese pilot won the world championship.
Yes.
And he was jumping up and down like a kid.
Yep. So they were together at the Red Bull Air Race, and they also were together yesterday at the museum. Some people they stopped in, got some neat photos with them. So he's had a great weekend.
And he was at Koda. Oh, he was at Japan for the Japanese, and he showed Lewis Hamilton his ring, and Lewis was really impressed with that thing.
Yeah.
So Takuma's been all over the planet in the last 4 or 5 days.
He has. Yeah. Right. Representing Indianapolis. Isn't that great? Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you. Unfortunately for you, you walked in here and I spotted you. But for coming back and being here, and I appreciate you stopping by anyway, just to stop by.
Yeah, well, I was just coming to take in the show live.
And you
tonight.
did, and you're part of it.
And I did. And
you are.
Wow.
And
This is
you
like
are.
having a silver badge in the month of May.
Oh.
Got up close and personal. Wow.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yikes.
Okay. I thank you for being here, and I encourage everyone to come down, even if you just buy a ticket and you can't get there. It's a worthwhile event. They're well respected all over the state and now the country for what they're doing and the way they're doing it, and I think it's phenomenal. So you get it down. Plus, the benefit is they got food.
Food,
They got beer and wine.
beer and wine, soft drinks, water.
Not you. No beer and wine for you.
Soft drinks and water, right? And
Oh,
beer,
yeah,
beer
soft
and
drinks
wine
and
and
water.
a 50-50 drawing and
And
yeah.
do you have some? Is there a silent auction or something going?
Yes. And one of the items on the silent auction is a 2-seater ride from Indy Racing Experience. So if you haven't done that, here's a great opportunity to bid on that and perhaps win it and support IRMA in the process. So we're really appreciative of them to donate that to us.
Well, those guys are always willing to do
They
that.
are very willing to do things. Yes.
Well, your wife is saying, is he really going? Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'll get to see you on Thursday.
Yeah, that was the one thing she said to me when I bought our tickets. She says, "I'll come, but can you assure me that Don Kay is going to be there?" And so, since you've made that assurance tonight, she's in all the way.
Well, I can tell you, I know he's lying. She walked in and she didn't have a clue who I was. And I
Well,
had
she thought he was John Noggle, and I said, "No, no."
All right, I want my money
And-
back for that damn ticket.
She knew he wasn't Mike Smith because we'd just seen Mike at the museum. So,
Oh well.
but then she identified you correctly.
After I told her, I whispered, "I'm Don Kay." Oh,
See?
Hi, see, I know him. He's Don.
See, she's got great short-term memory.
Yeah, I wish I did. Believe it or not, going off the subject completely, a friend of mine that I knew in high school, he was a couple years ahead of us, was a musician. His name is Jerry Ross. Jerry had bands, and he was a promoter and all kinds of things. But in the whenever it was that Elvis hit it, he was a member of his band. And I had forgotten that.
Really?
And I saw him 2 weeks ago when we were at the reunion, and we started talking about it. He traveled with him for quite a number of years and was part of his band and used to stay at his house every so often.
Wow,
He knew Elvis really well. And we talked a little bit about it, and it dawned on me. I know somebody who is an Elvis fan, over the top. I mean, if there's somebody that used to work for him that comes through town, she'll go out to the airport to catch him. And I got Jerry's number. I've contacted him. I want to put him together so she can talk to him, because he knew him very, very well. And some of the things he told me about him aren't generally known, I don't think. And I was kind of surprised to hear it. But, I mean, he enjoyed playing with him. He said he was a great guy. He gave almost everything away. Anybody he could help, he did. And the money meant nothing to him. He just was a huge success, so it was kind of interesting. But that has nothing to do with Thursday night. I want you to come out. You'll
I could
see
tell.
Bill and you'll see Stephanie, and you'll probably see Mike. Are they taking you too, Mike? You don't know. You haven't ragged on him yet.
And
huh?
Kaiser has said,
Yes,
thank you
Kyle.
for introducing us before his segment. He is coming also, so if you didn't get a chance to
Plus-
visit with him, he'll be there Thursday night as well.
Dave Darlin will be there.
Dave Darlin will be there, and the 3 USAC division current champions will be there. Oh, Johnny Parsons, yes.
Who?
Johnny Parsons.
I'll bet there's a free ticket for him. I know him. He's cheap.
He's
like me.
He's an honored guest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Don, thank you. I know this is the 3rd consecutive week that you've had one of us on about this event in particular, and you've mentioned it, so we really appreciate your support, not just with this, but even larger than that, but really with this, because it is our signature fundraising event for the year, and we wanted to price the ticket to where it was affordable for everyone and put it in a special place, so we hope we hit the bullseye with that. And Tony and another of our team member, Shelby Bradford, who is a nursing nurse and also getting her master's degree in nursing, and a former 500 Festival Princess, is a co-leader with Tony on this. So we really appreciate all of your help, Don.
Well, I did it because Tony's involved.
Tony's involved. Okay.
I like that Tony's
and
involved.
so see Tony. Don't leave here without a
See
ticket.
Tony, yes. All right, Thursday night, we'll see you there. The Yesteryear Museum down at 131 North, I forget what street.
West,
West,
22nd
20
Street.
seconds. I knew it. I just want to see everybody
Basically,
else
the
do it.
corner of 22nd and Capitol southeast corner.
And they got free
Pretty
parking,
close to
and
that.
there'll be security in the parking lot.
Yes.
So come on down, get a ticket, see Tony. Don't stay and hang around her too long because I want to talk to her. So now, next,
Tony says, please come to me now.
now, 1 week from tonight, we will be here. As I mentioned, my scheduled guest, as of even today, will be the mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe. And I have another guest coming who will be racing this weekend at COTA. He's in the GP 2 or 3 series. He's from Argentina, speaks very good English. He was here in town the last day or two. He left today to go down to Austin, but he'll be back, and he's looking to come to the Mazda Road to Indy program, I understand. So he's going to be here with him. So should be a good night. So be sure and be here. And if you can't be here, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. We're on all 3 live, thanks to Ted back here who knows how to do it and I don't. So until next week, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for being here. Until next week, say hello to Howdy, and hopefully you'll be around to come back next week. Good night.